Okay, abusia former Chief Justice Sophia Akuffo edeno ho akwakoto asemu na suspended Chief Justice and also former Chief Justice ne removal process na that's in the removal and mami di na no betum ekeka nsem na sa mami na sama obekan no atwetwe ensem bi aba ono so during her tenure at as Chief Justice of Ghana busia mama criminalities ne yedi kan edi bi Abraham Kevin Taylor eba be exposing the big time yedi Abraham na ene Solomon Owusu akole on state security agency say omonye massive investigation emphasize mami because mami we boni awapa be dinom na even class as bia state land bia okokoto no sika nke yeso otu ananye sa sika no oto state land no 7,000 Ghana cedis ewo cantonment nti esa mami we ye investigation se fa no mom yenko na yenko tie Solomon Owusu ne nkofo nsema omode etuja unsubscribe ya subscribe like na share ma afofron so ensa into me and Kabiaha, Ghana politics avenue. So, Madam Ase.
Joshua, if I were the former Chief Justice of Akuffo, I would have resigned as a Council of State member this morning.
Why?
She has lost every credibility she had before me. She has lost everything. You know, what she did yesterday was what we call solidarity. Yes, she knows the embattled Chief Justice in three fronts. First of all, she's a woman. She's also a woman. They all both attended Wesley Girls Secondary School. They both have occupied the Chief Justice position before. That was the only reason she did what she did yesterday.
Why? She didn't have basis for
what basis? You, on the matter of procurement alone, she single-handedly determined the prima facie case using the same Article 146. And we're in this country in 2017, somewhere July. She, through the judicial secretary, warned every Ghanaian that should you dare comment about what the committee were doing about Charlotte Ose's case, we all be in prison. This former Chief Justice told us that. What is so trivial about traveling with your husband and daughter when they are not supposed to be part of it and giving them per diem? You and I are tax revenue. Someone who is supposed to know. She does this and you say, oh, it's trivial. What are you talking about? I will call on the state security agencies to begin to go and investigate her time as the Chief Justice. Because it means she did worse. If she finds all these things are trivialities. It's a serious crime. If you are the Chief Justice, someone that can imprison someone, your bar is so high. What about the Francis Badin issue? In Xp0sė matter, that the deputy director of ICT, you accused him wrongly that he had tampered with evidence. You set up a committee. When the committee went into the matter, they realized that nothing of that sort had happened and recommended the reinstatement of the gentleman. While you flouted the recommendation from the committee, you sent this gentleman all the way to Tamale to be in charge of court processes, something that he has no clue. Go and ask Fosuji Abo, that lawyer, and a lot of judges how she transferred them. Hey, things have happened. So he should allow us to live in peace.
Okay.
As for Sophia Akuffo, I've said the baby boomers in this country are a problem. You know the baby boomers, those that were born in the 1940s. They had everything cheap. At the university, they were even fed. They said they would go on demonstration because they were having too much chicken. They had everything cheap, but they had destroyed. If the former Chief Justice of Akuffo wants me to take her serious and to see her as an honest person, she must return the land that she bought for 7,000 at cantonments. As a value, I'm scandalized. Who will buy land at 7,000 they still claim that she's honest? No, they should leave the youth, those of us that they have destroyed our lives, to be living sheepishly, to go away in peace.
Okay.
What's your reaction? Yeah, Dixon and I are friends, but today I don't know what happened to him. Is it a journey? You see, it's neither here nor there. This is a constitutionally mandated process that any citizen can petition for the removal of the Chief Justice. After that, there is a prescription that the president must follow, which has been followed. The committee has done its work. The Chief Justice has at no point in time been prevented from going into the committee meetings with her lawyers. She called as many witnesses as she wanted. And the determination has been made. And by law, that determination cannot be made public. And that is where we ought to stop. As for the nitty-gritties and the bread and butter issues of the case, it's up for public discussion. And that's what makes a democracy strong. So I can't say people shouldn't dissent. But to say that a sitting president has removed the Chief Justice is, to me, a highest form of dishonesty and hypocrisy, because the president did not remove the Chief Justice.
But the statement,
a committee mandated performing their functions stated in the Constitution recommended the removal of the Chief Justice, which the president is obliged to implement. So don't bring the president here. You see, let me be very frank here. We are talking about the weight of the accusations. I'm not a lawyer, but in the process of my studies, I have taken law courses here and there, enough to threaten some pedestrians. There is something we all know, which is called the doctrine of clean hands. It says that he who comes to what? Equity must come with clean hands. And in this case, they are not talking about the one presiding over equity. It is me, a plaintiff. If, for example, I go to a court seeking for reliefs, and it has been found in the process that I have not exhibited good faith, and that good faith could be dishonesty, unethical behavior, immoral conduct, I could be denied those reliefs based on these grounds. We are now talking about the one who presides over those who preside over equity. And the grounds are that if there is found that there is stated misbehavior, incompetence, or fiscal harm, you could be removed from office. Here is the case. Flimsy as it may, if the Chief Justice had been found at any point in time to have even taken one CD, it means that her integrity, her morality, her commitment to ethics are flawed. And therefore, she's supposed to be treated like plantain thieves currently in jail. You go and tell me, if you go to Sawam today, we won't find people there because probably they have removed some cocoyam somewhere to eat. Is that not flimsy? So let's be honest here. This is the highest justice position we have in the country. The one that is supposed to hold itself in the highest integrity. So if you are found to be engaging in petty thievery, let me call it that way. Let me just call a spade a spade. Then it's a problem.
But Doc, look at it closely.
With all the benefits that come with your office, all the benefits, if you still think that it is smart you to take more and travel with your family in business class on vacation, and you think the law shouldn't do that, and then somebody maybe didn't report one city or two cities, and they bring them to a court that you are presiding over, and you have thrown them in jail. Let's look at it that way. Let's not try to downplay the issues and think that, oh, it's a flimsy thing. Flimsy for what? You take your family on a vacation, in a country that people are struggling to feed, and you are supposed to hold all of us to the highest standard. We say it's flimsy. No, it's the morality we are talking about here. It is the ethics we are talking about here. And if there is the slightest inclination for people to think that this Chief Justice is not worthy of the standards she has held others to, then she ought to move. So let's look at it that way. Let's not say there is weight here or not. The other thing is that constitutional process, due process has been followed, and the committee has made their recommendations, period. No one should bring the president into this one, because the president, like he has done in almost everything that he has laid his hand on to do, he's discharged it to the best of his ability in the interest of the people of this country, and has actually defended the Constitution. You see, the MPP are saying some things that annoy me. They say when they come to power. For the last 80 years, Ghanaians were being auditioned for hell. There's nothing we haven't seen. We have been auditioned for hell. We have seen the West. We have seen the worst of the MPP. I don't see why we can fear you are threatening people that you come to power and do. What again? You remove Charlotte Osei. Is that not the same process? I'm not talking to you now. I've heard this over and over again. Dixon, it's not you who have said this, so don't jump in. I'm only saying that I've heard this over and over again, that when they come to power, they will do. There's nothing we haven't seen. You removed Charlotte Osei. Some of the things they are talking about the Chief Justice, some of the things that even drove people to start looking into the Chief Justice's behavior, is a conduct on the bench. You are talking of your right. You presided over a court, stayed in this country for a whole constituency, a whole people to be, their right to vote was taken away. You did nothing. You didn't even constitute the court on a Sunday to look at that. Whereas when it was Judiciary's issue, you made the Supreme Court sit every day, including Saturday and Sunday.
That's
no, I'm only saying that.
But that's someone saying this is why you have probably
No. I'm only talking about. I'm only saying.
You're making reference.
No. If it had been that, I would be happy. If it had been that, I would even be very happy. Because we are talking of rights here. We are talking of rights here. No, but she's been a Chief Justice since those issues were still pending. The Judiciary issue. You call the court on Sunday. I don't know people serving in Sawam that you could have even called the court.
Isn't that why people accuse you of, masterminding this? Because you're making reference to. You're making reference to.
I'm saying that if they had not even petitioned the Chief Justice for the removal, I thought that these are grounds that someone like me.
Because the court sat on a Sunday.
Because the
in a case involving an NDC member.
Here, let's be frank. Let's be very honest.
But that's unfair.
Let's be very honest. It's not unfair.
Because you had a case go against you. You say you
No. It's not the case go. It's the behavior. There was an issue of transfer there. The transfer. Let's be honest. Since they decided to throw the case to the dogs and go into the nitty-gritties of the case that none of us has access to and none of us is privy to, let's go. You talk about transfers. The transfers were done in such a way that it could determine the outcome of a case. It could sway it in one direction or the other. When a judge is about to declare a case, you may transfer the judge. What do you think common sense?
I think I heard you briefly. You were trying to make an intervention?
Yes. Let me put on record that by virtue of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama making, during the campaign time, that statement that he intends to make changes, I think that this was premeditated and it has played out that way. But as it stands, he is the president and he has every right to do what he's done. But I think that democracy has been weakened by the actions taken.
I'm saying democracy has been strengthened. The law is the law. The constitution has been followed to the letter. And if the MPP come and they are following the constitution, we have no problem. We can live with them. If that is the... But for now, let's take President Mahama out of this and commend him for doing his work.
My only aspect of the conversation is when we are trying to make a storm out of a teacup over this issue. You see, it is not only the precedent of removing a Chief Justice through due process. We are also sending a sign of caution to any other person who will have the opportunity to serve as a Chief Justice of this country.
Precedent of bad behavior.
That we will not countenance anything at all in the slightest form, because you see, the judiciary, you are supposed to uphold the absolute integrity of the country. Are you getting my point? That is where you say you are the arbiter. You are the middle player. Anything that happens around this country, it comes to the table of the judiciary. So we cannot countenance any iota of indiscipline, corruption. Even if it is one Ghana cedi that is involved, we will hold you to the highest esteem as practicable as possible.
Are we not doing this based on convenience? We saw once upon a time when some ministers received double salary.
No.
They were made to refund it. I'm just making the point. They were made to refund it. If you want to hold people to the highest standard, why are politicians not be held to the highest standard?
The politician, when you and I have a dispute right now, do we go to a member of parliament to resolve it for us? We go to the law court. So there are different standards for measuring a politician and their behaviors and their actions and inactions. I am coming to you because they are public officers, but the future of this country is not dependent upon their actions and inactions. The future of this country and the integrity of the country is dependent on the actions and the inactions of the judiciary. It is a clear-cut definition. And we must get that into our head, that the judiciary will be measured with a different yardstick. Are you okay? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, anything that happens, we go to you. So if you cannot hold the moral grounds, who is the one we are going to run to in the case of anything?
They say point to any work she did which based on which you say no, she was incompetent in delivering her work. You are making reference to her going on vacation, her husband receiving a payment that she was not supposed to receive, which was given to her by the judicial secretary. They said, why didn't the judicial secretary realize? Let me just make the point. Why didn't the judicial secretary realize that the wife and the child was not supposed to receive any per diem, that the husband was not supposed to receive any per diem? The judicial secretary, who is the one who releases all these funds, went ahead to make the payment. And when they received the payment, they say, hey, Chief Justice, your daughter and your husband received monies that were not supposed to receive. Why didn't even the Auditor General flag it in the first place? Even the Auditor General didn't flag it. It had to take an ordinary citizen to petition, and people are raising questions. Was this not politically motivated?
When people occupy certain positions, just to come back to certain positions in this country, no matter how the lay down processes are or the procedures are, they are always able to truncate it.
So you think maybe this was flagged, but it was swept under the carpet?
That is why the lawyer was telling us that probably if we should go into the integrities of the issue, if we should receive the entire committee report, perhaps there are certain things that has happened that has even not come to the public domain. And do you also know that if the committee recommends for the removal of the Chief Justice and the president fails to act on that, it can also constitute another what do we call it? Revocation grounds for removing the president.
So you think John Mahama had no choice?
He has no choice. The same way Nana Akuffo told her that he has no choice in the removal of Charlotte Osei, the same way John Mahama doesn't have any choice.
Let me bring Mr. Richard now, and then we'll just wrap up this conversation because we need to make time for some other discussions on the show. I mean, is it not concerning to hear some members of the opposition giving an indication that what has happened is precedent and nobody should raise a concern when someday they return to government and take a cue from it?
Oh. If there is nothing to do, what would you do?
For me, I believe that this is a clear case of Caesar's wife. I believe that it's a clear case of Caesar's wife, that Caesar's wife must live beyond reproach. So it's a signal to the justices that if the Chief Justice has been removed, then every public officer has to tread with caution. When you are doing your work, you ensure that you are doing the proper thing. Now, in terms of the threat that and the politicization, I also have a problem with even the appointment process. Okay, when we go to Nigeria, the Chief Justice is appointed by the Supreme Court justices. They actually select the Chief Justice, and it is usually the senior most. So by their conduct, by their processes, it is known who is going to be the next Chief Justice. Okay, so you cannot spring up any surprise. No, their system is predetermined. It's clear that no, this A is the most senior. So when A retires, B is the next senior in line. So that senior takes over. But if you look at our system, the appointment is done by the president. So there's the tendency that the process will be tinted or captured as a political process. In any event, people will say yes. This Chief Justice was appointed by Akuffo. Yeah. So obviously she's an MPP. But before you know, she's not an MPP. At the end of the day, the law is the law. No matter how political you are, it's sometimes really hard to throw away the law. So I think the appointment process and the nature of our system too has caused all this. So I believe that.
And seriously, just a final one though. She's worked 22 years on the bench, so we understand that because she's been removed by the president, she's likely to be denied all of her benefit. I mean, from where you stand, based on the law, is that what the law says? She's not going to get anything.
Of course. As a Superior Court Justice, as soon as you work for 10 years in the public sector, which the bench is part of the public sector, automatically you qualify to retire on your salary as a Superior Court Justice. But this is the case that you are not retiring. You have been removed. So you did not even complete your tenure. Now, this removal process is such that as soon as it kicks in, you don't have the ambit to resign. If you recall, let me remind you of the Republic vs. High Court, Accra, the Tiger IPI case, the Justice Derry and Co. Their case, Dana's case. Some of the justices wanted to resign, but they were not allowed to resign because there's a Supreme Court decision that says that the nature of this process is such that the Article 146 process is such that the moment it kicks in, you cannot stop it. It has to go through and end. So it's unfortunate.
But she can challenge this. She can challenge this, can't she? Can't she challenge it? Because after 22 years, I mean, all the work she's done for this country, and we say because her husband received per diem and the daughter received per diem, so she won't get anything. I mean,
it's unfortunate. She has no right of appeal.
She has no right of appeal.
She has no right of appeal. That is why I'm telling you that the removal process of our Chief Justice is too simple. It is too simple.
All right, lawyer, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your time this morning. Let me bring Doc in, and then I'll come to Richard and Paul for your final thoughts. Doc, let me just get your final thoughts on this. I mean, it's quite concerning that she won't receive anything. She's going to go home with nothing. That's quite concerning, to be fair.
I see it as unfortunate and needs to be looked at. But as it stands now, one way or the other, I think removal is so damaging, and I'm hoping that she and her family can recover from this travesty. And we're in solidarity with her, just like Sophia Akuffo, who has been very objective. Very objective. Thank you.
All right, Doc, thank you. Rich, for final words on this one, I mean...
Well, my only final comment on this subject matter is that, like the lawyer is saying, we from the Movement for Change, we have always been advocating that if there need be, we should consider having a second chamber. A second chamber. And the second chamber should be made up of all people from all facets of society. And it should be based on appointments into occupying this chamber. Therefore, the appointment of a Chief Justice and IGP and other sensitive positions should be the prerogative of the second chamber.
Isn't the Council of State serving that purpose?
You see, the Council of State is not serving that purpose. The Council of State can become a rubber stamping institution, and most often they are a rubber stamping institution. Whatever the president brings to them is what they just endorse. So at the end of the day, if you have an independent second chamber, looking at some of these appointments, it may help us in the future because we are running a country. And don't forget that a time will come, Prof and Co, they'll fizzle out. A new generation will come. So it is the responsibility of Prof and their other leaders and seniors to make sure that they bequeath to us a country that is much more better than as they inherited it. But if they don't do anything by thinking out of the box and radicalizing certain aspects of our judicial process, and they allow the status quo to remain the same, that means year in, year out, ages and ages upon ages, we will still be having these challenges. So it is better we look at it holistically and find an absolute solution to the problem. That will be in the ultimate interest of the country.
Okay, I was saying I win and some a course or political highway. So Solomon Osu and I yet turning catch say what day a jar a good Sophia Akuffo and ya asam to a cry and some a course. Yeah, but I must say, Sir Moje Penny Cocoa and some way and my aha Ghana politics avenue so madam.